That's exactly what they need, the women now, to up the scoring rate. 9 wickets in hand.
There is the use of the feet. It's dragged away into the leg side and it just clears the boundary.
I definitely had a goal with my dad to play for the US team. We just didn't know what it would look like, and when I received the first opportunity to just try out for the team, and when everything was kind of working out well, it just, all the tables were just like turned just for me to like keep moving into the goal I wanted. So it just worked out over time.
Not really, until I saw that she has a same kind of a energy level in cricket. So I thought maybe she was a super forward soccer player. So I kind of blackmailed her to start playing cricket, and then I'm glad that she fell for it.
He is crazy about the sport. Crazy is an understatement, to say the least. He's always been involved. Ever since I was 2 or 3 years old, he'd be taking me to the ground just so he could play his games. And for him, it was just bringing me along to make sure I wasn't left alone at home, but also so that he could enjoy something on the weekend instead of just taking care of me all the time.
I started playing, I grew up in India, Mumbai. So in Mumbai, I started playing when I was 10, 12. I used to play a lot of gully cricket, tennis ball cricket. In my college, I played like with an actual hard cricket ball. But my love goes much more beyond. And any game on TV, I watch it, irrespective of which country is playing, who is playing, IPL, WBBL, BBL, you just name it, I watch the game. Even I watch PSL.
Now, he's always been my coach, and now he's a coach and a mentor and kind of just my entire support system, to say the least. It's because now I have a bunch of coaches, considering that I'm playing with USA, but at the same time, he's kind of the person I fall back onto in case I have questions or just don't know what I'm doing or need a little bit of, guidance in whatever aspect it might be.
It has grown very nicely. Actually, we had a good rapport, so I kind of talk very openly with her. So I try to tell her as a friendly level, sometimes parent level, but when I take a role as a coach, it's kind of a little harder for her. So I have to keep that balance all the time between a father, friend, and a coach. But coach is the hardest one. When I coach her, I want things to happen my way, maybe traditional coaching style. And sometimes I personally believe that if you have discipline, a player can go a lot ahead. And when that fatherly figure comes into the picture, you try to have that sympathy or emotional thing. So I try to keep that aside when we are practicing.
I remember this as clear as day. I had track practice, and during practice, of course, you're not on your phone. So the minute I got my phone back and I was walking to my car, I noticed just a bunch of texts and calls from everyone. And I had an intuition that there was something waiting for me in my email, and the minute I opened my email and saw like just USA announced, 14-member squad, that's when I just opened it, saw my name, and just like threw everything and just jumped around for a minute.
It's a proud moment when she got the cap for USA Women's cricket team. Unfortunately, I wasn't there, so I really, kicked myself for that. But I have that pride that my daughter is playing for the nation, which I really wanted to do. So I see that dream has been fulfilled by my daughter. So it's a very proud moment, and I can talk about her and cricket whole day. She just started her career, so there's a lot to learn. It says every game teaches you something. So definitely she has to learn many things. Accomplishment wise, I see that if she follows a correct path, or as a matter of fact, any girls follow that path, they can achieve many things. For me, if you see my dream for her, I would love to see someday Gargi playing one of the greatest knock and win the main final championship or something for the nation. I would be happy if she's like a player of the series and USA winning the World Cup. That's a wildest dream, but yeah, dreams, we say that we live in La La Land, and dreams may come true, hopefully, someday.
The biggest change for me was just starting to take my cricket way more seriously than what I did before. Just kind of knowing that, okay, I've made it to where I want, trying to figure out what my next goal is, what the next steps are, just because when you get to one goal, so many doors open up and so many ideas open up. So for me now, it's kind of just like, okay, well, I got to USA, what's my next step? What's something else that I'm gonna work towards? Because if you don't have that, it's really hard to push yourself in practice or in games, or just to have the right mindset going in. It's the feeling of the fight, especially. It's not necessarily playing those easier games or knowing that your competition is a team that you can beat. It's when you play those teams where you're going into the game like, how are we gonna do this? Or just questioning whether you'll win, and being able to convert that from a whether to a yes, we will win. And just the feelings of confidence and I don't know what the right word would be, but just going into the game thinking that we have to beat this team no matter how that happens. And so for me, it's the, what am I gonna do to win this game, the asking questions, trying to like solve the problem that I create in my head to win. That would be the thing that gets me going. I would say it wasn't necessarily from playing the game, it was after the games, and that would be specifically the tour that we had in Zimbabwe. It was the 50 over, or the ODI World Cup Global Qualifier that happened last year in November. I would say coming home from that was a really low point in my life, just because it was my first real defeat, I guess, in the game, because the whole tournament I didn't perform well, and it was just because rather than getting out to a really good delivery, it was just me making mistakes that I can control, just kind of throwing my wicket every game, and dropped a few catches, just didn't have the best tournament overall, and I got injured. So I guess for me it was just like, how could I perform that poorly in my eyes? But looking back, it's just a game, and to kind of overcome that, it took me a while, but just recognizing that, you know, games are not always going to be good, you'll have low points, was a big factor that changed my entire life. There's excitement all around. Even though I'm not a part of it, it feels like I'm a part of it, just because USA is participating in the World Cup. And when I found out that USA is playing Australia and a couple other big nations, I think that was my big exciting booster, just because to see that we'd be playing some big nations in cricket is extremely exciting. And then there's also a little bit of frustration to not be able to physically be a part of it, but I'm so excited for our girls to just go over and get the experience and just learn from that experience.
It's a part and parcel. You are going to miss some, you are going to get some, and you have to just look for the next opportunity, period.
I think my biggest piece of advice that I've told a few girls already is just to enjoy the experience, because if you go in with the expectation or mindset that I have to do this, or if this doesn't happen then I don't know what I'm gonna do, you can't put that kind of pressure on yourself before you go. Rather just go there, learn what you can, experience everything, and just play. Because if you hold on to the things you have to do, you might start playing with fear that, oh, I don't want to get out, or I don't want to bowl a wide, or whatever it may be. So my big advice to a few girls is play fearless if you can, because it's the best kind of cricket to play. One of the biggest differences, I would just say, is the seriousness of the game. Just to see how men's cricket is treated by just, the general society around us versus women's cricket. A fear's telling somebody oh yeah, I play for the USA women's team, or you're a women's cricketer. It's a very different conversation than telling someone you're a male cricketer, just because of men's cricket being around for so long and women's cricket coming up right now. We don't always get enough recognition, or even just getting access to facilities or training centers or whatever it may be. So I would say my biggest difficulty too growing up is just getting the chance to play, just because I'm a woman and I don't have as much to offer physically, maybe, just like the men around me.
I think the power, that's power play, what they play with the power, that's pretty much it. I'm not saying that because women are less powerful, but the game, the intensity level is kind of little higher in the men's side, and people are still watching more men's World Cup than the women's World Cup. Previously, if I would say that 100% people watching men's World Cup and only 50% watching, now it has 100% has not changed, but that 50% has gone up to 75%. And maybe hopefully in 3 or 4 or 5 years it will be 100% each. Competition has grown up so much, and the game played in a different level right now. As we spoke earlier, it's in 20 or 50 overs, let's say there's a target of 100, 150 or 300 respectively is chaseable. So every player, every country has to step up into their game. It's just the competition level has gone up. So every person has to step up.
I see myself at a higher position than where I am right now. I look to be playing in tournaments not just in the USA but out of the world. One of my biggest goals is to play for the Women's Big Bash League in Australia, and of course my cricket career would not end once I get there. If anything, I feel like it would start to get even better. But my biggest goal is to participate in that and all the other tiny tournaments that happen. And over the span of my career, I definitely want to see the growth of women's cricket, and if there's any way I can be a part of that, not just as a player, but as a representative of ICC or whatever, I definitely want to be there by the end of my playing career. So in late July during regionals in Houston, I broke my finger during a game. I just went for a dive and it kind of got jammed into the ground, and that was a huge turning point in my life, just because I missed the CPL women's tournament, which would have been the first women's tournament in the Caribbean, and I also missed the T20 global qualifier that happened in Dubai. And just to miss out on 2 big tournaments that I was preparing for the whole year was a huge bummer, I guess, for this year.
that was bummer, but I had to keep my emotions because I'm more emotional. She missed 2 tournaments, CPL and the World Cup qualifiers, so it hurt both of us. I cried a little bit, but I'm okay. I had to show that I'm stronger. So emotionally, she knows very well how I am, but it was kind of hurtful.
I would say initially it was very difficult. It felt like the injury took everything away from me because I was so ready to just go into those tournaments and give it everything I had. But to not be able to do that, it kind of made me take a step back and really question what I was going for in my life. And then eventually I was able to recognize that yes, cricket is very important, but at the same time, this injury was helping me to become a better athlete. I started to value my cricket more, and I was out for about a month. And so coming back, I had a really strong mindset of just coming back and trying to put everything I can into the sport and just strengthen my weaknesses and make my strengths even stronger. And I don't think that would have happened without the injury. And so now I look back saying, okay, well, whatever is thrown at me, we can overcome very easily. In addition to my dad, just because he has a huge influencing factor in my life, Coach Julia Price definitely was the first coach, in addition to many others, that kind of made me think in very different ways, just because the coaches I've had in the past were more technical based, telling me, okay, we have to improve this skill set or this shot, bringing up your hands higher might help you this way. But Coach Julia Price kind of helped me focus on the mental aspect of my game. How do I plan out my innings and just kind of approach each game with a mindset that would help me find success for my team and as an individual. And that's something I have never really experienced before, just because for me I was always thinking of, no, I have to play, just go and play the ball as it comes. And Coach Julia kind of reminded me that no, you can plan for each ball, or you can plan for a bowler, and you can always change your plan in that moment, but it's never gonna hurt you to go in prepared beforehand. I would say our captain, Sindhu, would be a good mentor for me, and another player, Mahika Kandanala. She is also on the USA team. Those two would be 2 influencing factors on my life, and not necessarily from the cricket aspect, but kind of reminding me that if a game doesn't go well, it's not the biggest deal. Take it as a learning process. Sindhu has told me numerous times that it's just a game, and for her to say that, it just seems like 3 tiny words, but at the end of the day, for an athlete, it has a huge impact, because you kind of forget once you're playing that, this is not the biggest or most important thing in my life. And then as for Mahika, she supports me so much off the field. It's just whenever she is on the field with me, it's a completely different experience.